Well, good morning, beautiful ladies. Welcome to today's Morning Dew message. We have been discussing the book Finding a Man Worth Keeping 10 Dating Secrets That Work by Victoria Michaels Rogers. This book was written by a woman of God, and this book is for singles that are looking to be married. If you have not listened to the first 6 secrets, I advise you to listen to those first and then come back to today's, which will be the 7th secret. Well, the title for today's secret is Don't Freak Him Out. Again, don't freak him out. This was one of my second favorite chapters. Well, it was my second favorite chapter in this book. I mentioned earlier that my favorite one is about seeking divine intervention. Now, in this session, she is just telling you once you've had the first date with the man, how not to freak him out. And this is where a lot of us women go wrong. We can secure the first date and all of that, but then we turn him off by freaking him out. This is a very important chapter in this book, ladies. One of the things that she talks about is during the first stage, you don't need to hurry up. Don't try to rush through this thing. You might be thinking, well, Jesus is coming back real soon. I got to hurry up and, and get married. Take your time. Trust God. Take your time, ladies, because if you try to rush everything, and if a man feels rushed, he is going to back up. He's going to back away, and you could be backing up the right one. You understand what I'm saying? And that can cause more delay in your marriage to be. Also, what she says is that she advised you to maybe see the guy once or twice a week. You don't want to see him every day at the beginning stage because it can be overwhelming. Too much of anything is not good for you. So try to space it out, and that gives a little mystery to the relationship as well. If you still have a life while you're seeing this guy and not all wrapped up around him, it makes you more intriguing. But when you are just constantly spending so much time together, all up in his face, it makes the relationship eventually become boring. You want to always keep him intrigued. Also, the other thing that she mentions too is that men are like frogs. Of course, they have that saying that if you can cook a frog if you turn the heat up slowly, although we know that scientifically is not true, but it's still good advice. You want to turn the heat up slowly. And when we say turn up the heat, you don't want to start asking him questions about the security of the relationship too early. You want to get to know him first and just really be friends first. Get to know each other before you start talking about the more serious things. Something that she also mentioned too is allowing the man to make the first phone call. One of the dating don'ts that she talks about is not constantly calling. She's mentioned this was really good and it's so true, where she says that I'm paraphrasing now, where she says that a lot of times when a guy can see that things are starting to get serious, what he may do, he may need a little time to think about it, and he may naturally back off. And during that time, don't freak out. If he all of a sudden doesn't call you for a while, don't start calling him constantly and say, hey, what's going on? I haven't heard from you, and all of just back off. Give him his space. Give him his space, because it could either be that he has some unfinished business to take care of, because he sees is getting more serious, or he just needs some time to think because he might get a little nervous about that. Getting into a committed relationship for a guy at the beginning can be a little scary. And if you add pressure onto that fear that he may have, he's going to totally back off. So just let him back off for a little bit, and then he'll begin to miss you and be like, man, she hasn't called me. And that's going to be intriguing, because he's going to be like, man, she's not pushy, That's a good thing. A man never wants to be pressured into a commitment. And I'm telling you, ladies, I used to be the queen of pressure. So, and I used to scare a lot away some good men. I'm telling you, I scared some bad ones away too, thank God. But I scared some good ones away because of that insecurity of mine. Scared that I was going to lose him and all of that. But me acting like that actually did turn him off, instead of just being confident in God being in this situation and letting the man lead in this situation. So also, let me see if there's something else. Yeah, kind of piggybacking off of what I'm saying. I actually want to read this small part of what she writes about that. She says, and I quote, "Waiting may be torture, like if you don't hear from him in a while. Waiting may be torture, but it's not as bad as the heartbreak you experience if you push for attention when he's begging for space. Let him pull back and miss you. When he finally calls again, just move forward without skipping a beat. You will calm his fears and gain his trust if you don't freak out. And don't worry, if he's the one for you, like Arnold Schwarzenegger, he will be back." So it was just really, really a lot of great advice in this chapter, women. And don't scold him when you haven't heard back from him in a while. Don't scold him. Just move on with it. Just like, hey, nice to hear from you again. How you been? Because if you be like, why haven't I heard from you? Where you been? You like that? That's putting that pressure on him, and you're gonna back him away. You don't want to do that. Also, good advice, she says, is don't accept last minute dates. Why, you might be asking? Because I'm actually going to read to you, because I want to make sure I don't leave any good substance out of this. And it's a short paragraph, so it's not a problem. She says, "We mentioned this in the last secret, but let's take a moment to reiterate. When you accept last minute dates in the first few months of dating, you teach your guy bad habits. You want him to anticipate his time with you. If he's booking at the last minute, that means he hasn't been pining away for you all week. It may also mean one of three things, none of which are good. He's also dating someone else who is higher on his priority list. He has a controlling personality and thinks your plans don't count. Or he's taking advantage of you, knowing that all he has to do is call and you'll drop everything to see him." So, ladies, that is really good advice. If a guy calls you in the last minute to set up a date, don't accept it, because you got to let him know that you have a life outside of him, and it will teach him how to respect your time, and to where he will call for a date way ahead of time. You understand? And it makes you more respected that way. Got it? Okay, so something else I want to add that she says that's very important, that kind of goes with what we said earlier about if he pulls back. I want to read this to you because I know this will help you as well. She says, if he pulls back. "So don't panic or push. He will pursue you full force right up until the moment he feels obligated. Even if you do everything right and play it cool, when he begins to feel a sense of obligation, he will pull back a bit. Not necessarily because of anything you said or did, not because he doesn't have feelings for you, but simply because he's terrified of losing his freedom. Your job is to prevent him from feeling that way for as long as you possibly can. For a man to fall in love completely, he must think he's done so freely and willingly, even if he doesn't realize what hit him." So, ladies, this is really, really good advice in this book. That's why this is my second favorite chapter in this book. She gives other tips as well. I'm going to name 6 quit dating don'ts that she has. The first one that she has is don't freak out or don't freak him out. The second one is don't scold him. That means don't scold him if he hasn't called in a while, if he's backed up a little bit. Third one, don't accept last minute dates. Fourth, don't buy him expensive gifts. Get that, ladies? Number 5, don't make him pay all the time. Show that you can sometimes pay for the meal as well. And the last one, don't be his therapist. So she goes into thorough details about those other things. So I strongly advise you to get the book so you can know what those things are. And also, here is something that's very important. She says to don't stress early on about other women. Let him work up to choosing you above all others. It may take time for him to realize you are a prize worth keeping or worth winning. So at the very beginning, ladies, don't worry about that. Because you got to understand, he may be, dating different women or getting to know different women to figure out which one is the one. Do not be insecure about that. That's why it's important to not have sex with a man until you are married, ladies, because you're giving all those goods away and he may not even choose you. In fact, when you give the goods away too early, it makes him lose some sort of respect for you because you're easy. You don't want to have that thought. You don't want to have that what's the word that I'm looking for? That reputation for that. So he will have more respect for you if you hold out and wait until the ultimate commitment, and that is marriage. All right, ladies. So something else that she mentions in this chapter too that is good, and I'm going to end with this one, is the DOR. That is something that she came up with, and that's an acronym for define our relationship. Now, you don't want to have the conversation with him about that too early, because otherwise, she said, if you do that too early, you're going to get the DOOR, which spells door. He'll be walking out the door. So you got to know when to have that conversation about the committed relationship. And she says, wait until, see if you both are seeing each other consistently at least once a week. If not, he's either seeing other women too, or he is too busy at work for a commitment right now. So keep that in mind before you bring up that particular conversation. And don't rush him into that type of relationship. Just ease into it, take it slow, and all should be well. All right? So ladies, I know we talked a lot about this chapter because it is a really, really helpful chapter, especially when you find that prospective one that is going to possibly be your husband. You want to make sure you do not scare away the man that God has for you. So again, if you have not gotten this book, I strongly advise you to get it. The name of the book again is Finding a Man Worth Keeping, 10 Dating Secrets That Work by Victoria Michaels Rogers. Ladies, you have an awesome and beautiful, wonderful day. And I'll be talking to you tomorrow with the 8th secret that Victoria shares out of 10. Be blessed.